Hey, how's everyone doing today? I just wanted to do another video on one of my IHC Mahino locomotives. This is another one from the my President's Choice train set collection. So this here is a 464 Hudson. Maybe a Royal Hudson. I'm not too sure. I think someone did tell me it was a Royal Hudson. I don't remember the difference between the two of them. But this is the only steam locomotive in the set that comes with a smoker. It does work. I had it going a couple times. And we'll just take a look at the locomotive. From my short experience in the hobby, I'm gonna say this has average detail. It's got a lot of more detail than some of the older Bachmans. Not the Spectrum line. The Spectrum line would beat this in detail by a little bit, I would say. But a lot more detail than, let's say, an older Tyco or a baseline Bachmann. But the front, it's nicely detailed. We got the that's not a real coupler, by the way. That's just a decoration coupler. You got the air lines in the grab and the glad hands. They're detailed okay. And with these particular locomotives, I like how they do all the bells. All the bells are metal, so that is pretty cool. And we got the smoke deflectors. And this particular Hudson right here, 5702, it's currently on display in a museum. I think it's one of the museums in Ontario, Canada. And we'll just look at the details on the boiler area here on the top. It's average detail, like for example. So unlike my 210-2, which has that particular locomotive, they went insane on with the detail, which is amazing. But I mean, as you can see, these cables here, they're molded into the to the body, and that's pretty typical for a lot of IHCs that I've seen. But the one thing I was told about these locomotives is their reliability and durability. I've never had an issue with any of my IHC locomotives. They're all really excellent. And what I love about a lot of our Canadian steam locomotives is we have the white wheels, which are really nice. And and they all have spring trucks in the front and back, so that helps them stay connected to the track, of course. And there is some detailed piping on the side, so that is impressive. So definitely nothing wrong with that there. Now this particular locomotive in real life, where it sits today in the museum, it doesn't have the smoke deflectors. And it, of course, the look changed a little bit over the decades because it had a really long life. When I looked up pictures of it, the model in the real train, I mean, the model's not 100% prototypical, but I mean, I'm not super too picky about that. But it's definitely close enough. And I also got to take consideration too. It changed. They change over the decades when they have a long service life. And the tender, I'll say, has average detail. It is nice though. We got some texture on the wood boards. And it is, of course, it's a coal tender. And like all the locomotives that IHC did for the President's Choice train sets, they're really easy to convert to DCC and sound. But I have not tried it yet. It might be hard to see, but on the tiny walkway, it is textured. It does have a textured walkway. I was trying to get some of the dust off this one, but it's been a little more difficult getting the dust off this guy here. And we'll just turn it around. And we'll get the other side. There we go. Oh, let's look at the detailing on the other side. Same thing, we got some of the, the molded detail on the boiler, which is very normal for most of the IHCs. But we do have piping detail around the bottom of the sides, which is great. I think that looks really nice. And I've always liked the white wheels. I keep on wanting to call them white walls. Well, I mean, you could call them white walls if you wanted. And interior detail, I mean, here, I'm going to pull the tender back here for a second. I mean, it's there. It's nothing to, really go crazy about, but I mean, it's got a little bit of interior detail. Let's pop the tender back on. Get the, oh yeah, and the hook there, it's actually metal. It's not a plastic one, so those are probably a little more durable than other ones I've seen. I hear with some of the old Bachmann, they break, and then you pretty much have to put a screw in them or something like that, but I've never had any of these ones break. Like I say, in my opinion, overall, a nice locomotive. I'm very happy with all my IHCs. And I know this is like a Hudson locomotive, but I'm just not 100% sure if it's a Royal Hudson. Apparently, I was told a little while ago that there's a difference between the Hudson and the Royal Hudson. But I believe this particular model here is modeled after when it was really early in service, so probably the 20s, I would say, give or take, the 1920s. Sounds about right. And there is some added detail parts like up on the top, which is pretty normal for the IHCs. But overall, excellent model train. I've always been really happy with it. It's one of my regular runners. This is probably going to be the first steam locomotive that I add DCC and sound to down the road, because I do use it quite regularly. I'll just get a few more close-ups of it. And like I say, there's a little bit of detail too on the tenders. I like how it has the ladders as separate detail parts. And there is some texturing on the step boards, so definitely nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's definitely out of all the President's Choice train sets, this one here has been my favorite so far. My favorite locomotive. And that's pretty awesome. But I'll end this video, and I'll make another one shortly. Everyone take care, and have an excellent day.